Clash Royale.
Welcome everybody to Grand Postseason. Could potentially be our final day here of the Grand Postseason. It is SKT versus KT Rolster. SKT, a two-time finalist and the defending champions here of Pro League, could be defeated tonight.
This is where everything gets on the line, including our dignity, as we're shown there in the bottom right. That very, very flattering picture. KT, they were able to just barely squeak that one through with the win that Stats took over INoVation in the Ace match, but it did go all the way, which, wow, this is actually very interesting. SKT has only brought 4 players to the studio. Yeah. I actually looked over there. There's no one else on the bench. They actually only have 4 players. And you know what that means? We kind of already know who's going to be coming out here. It's going to be INoVation, Myungshik, Classic, and Dark. That's going to be it.
I think this is actually a statement by SKT, because when you think about this, if they win tonight, they will have to play the regular format tomorrow as well, where they have to have individual players ready for each map. So those players that they have to use like Zone need to be getting sniper strategies ready right now for those specific maps. They don't have time to sit in this studio even to get makeup on, to sit in these chairs. They know that in the all-kill format, these are the players they're going to use, and the rest of the players that they're going to use tomorrow, if they win today, need to be practicing every single moment that they have available to them.
It's very interesting. I'm not sure that we've seen something like this in a very long time, especially because, you know, with this format that we have the 3-day kind of event, if you will, to, you know, decide who's the next team that's going to get on to the next round. But SKT, they're using that strategy, as you said. And I'm very curious to see when those players are going to be coming out here. KT, they've brought everybody, so we don't really know who they're going to use, but we can kind of guess, because they've always had that top 3, Zest, TY, and Stats, and they're using Trust here in game number 1, so it's a possibility, unless they took away someone like Zest, you know, because he's, you know, having a bit of trouble right now. But even so, even though he still is having trouble, I think he would do better than someone like Lenok. But that means that they might be playing 3 Protosses today in 1 Terran.
That's absolutely possible. And one thing that is the weakness of what SKT has decided to do is there's no longer a mystery. There's no longer that feeling of I could be sniped. You know you're not going to be dealing with someone like Zone today. You know Dream's not here. You're looking at a lineup that's so predictable that KT can, as soon as they see this bench of 4 players, know exactly how they want to plan out their snipers. And they've been using more snipers than SKT. Now, if you look at both formats here together, I mean, it's a pretty close fit between these two in scores. In KT, they did have more all kills though, 4-0, 6-2. They have the much better result there. But this shows that SKT relies more on the depth of their lineup, which they don't have today because they've only brought 4 players.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you know, just inherently a format that you can't really use that depth as well. And you can see here just how many times both of these teams have gotten 2 kills, 3 kills, 4 kills. It's a crazy amount of times there for KT. Stats, TY, and Zest. You can see that they are the top 3, as they are the only 3 players on the list here for KT.
And for 3 and 4 kills, they're 9-5 and 9-4 respectively in that. So, I mean, this is, again, KT's best format. It's their stronger format. It's the one they've relied on most of the time to actually secure their spot in the 2014 finals. How they nearly advanced, actually, last year to the finals. It was Jin Air, actually, that fought SKT in the end of all things. Now, Trust has been sent out here in the first slot for Frozen Temple versus INoVation. INoVation is the big favorite, but Trust surprised a lot of people in his Star League group in Challenge. So we'll see how he plays here today. He's definitely got something prepared. I'm excited to see what he's going to show us.
And I'm excited to see what INoVation is going to show us as well. Yesterday we saw Mech twice, right? And Dream did the same thing. So all these SK Telecom players, these Terrans, against Protoss specifically, they're playing Mech in this matchup, and it didn't really work out. It didn't work out against Stats in the Ace match. Is he going to bring it out again, even after its lack of success in televised matches?
That's a good question. You know, we really don't know. Trust is 1-0 this year. He has played 1 game, he won it. This shows how the depth of KT Rolster can be used in moments like this. They used him as a sniper before. He got the win he needed. It's the only time they play him the entire season. INoVation, on the other hand, is one of these fixtures for SKT. They use him almost every time. He's played 15 official games this season. More than that, of course, already. Twice yesterday he played. So he's played a lot of games. There's a lot to study on this guy. And I feel like they were expecting a Terran here. This is a Terran-favored map most people consider, especially in this matchup. But we'll see if Trust has prepared a strategy here. I'm assuming that he's preparing for this map specifically for a long time, looking for the PBT.
Well, we don't actually have predictions today, so we're just going to jump right into game number 1.
That we are. Let's do it, guys. Game number 1, KT Rolster versus SK Telecom. In the top left for KT Rolster, their starting player, it is Trust.
And in the bottom right, in the orange for SK Telecom T1, the Terran player, it is INoVation.
INoVation in strategies is probably going to be, what we're looking for here from Trust, as this is his map choice more than it is INoVation's, I would say. INoVation is playing this map because it is a strong map for Terran, and this is what Trust was expecting most likely here. So even though obviously both players chose their map, I feel like there's a slight advantage when it comes to psychology and builds here for Trust. If he plays a standard game, call me wrong, everyone can say that I was incorrect on what I've predicted here, but I do think he has something special prepared. Either that or he's going to play standard, but he knows exactly how to play standard so well on this map. And look at this, a very fast double gas. INoVation's at it again.
Here we go again, guys. This is the same build we saw in New Gettysburg yesterday with the gas first into a very quick second gas. This is what you need to do to get out a very fast Cyclone and then transition into a second factory very fast as well. So
this is somewhat predictable, I would say, and I think this is part of the reason why Trust is dealing with this. Now, if he goes for that quick Cyclone build, Trust's pylon placement and how many pylons he makes are going to be both very important coming up here. He's going to check for a proxy first. He's being very careful. And you can see he's just checking all those areas just to make sure INoVation's not pulling a fast one. And doing that build that Ryung did, for example, on Dust Towers with a bunch of proxy barracks.
That one, and also the TY one base build that he did on Dust Towers yesterday. I forget who the Protoss, I think it was Classic that did that. So even though it's the opposite teams, TY, he showed us another very strong kind of Terran proxy into one base all in. And look at this, he's going to wait. So we'll see if this is just for a later scout. He hasn't put down any pylon yet, so I think you're right.
I think it is just going to come in here and check for the CC. The Marine moves out at this exact moment. This is not a coincidence. He's actually formed this out so well. He sees the factory here, and this is exactly what he was looking for. This is what he wanted to see, is to see that factory with the tech out. If the Marine had been there and denied this would have been huge, but now he knows, as he probably already predicted, this is going to be a Cyclone build. He doesn't know it's 2-fact yet, but he can reasonably assume, based on what we've seen from INoVation already yesterday.
Well, this is the third time we're seeing this build. Magfield Accelerator coming down here, going to upgrade those Cyclones that lock on damage. And you see he immediately just goes for a Robo. I think it was stats yesterday that was like, I didn't really see what was going on, but the second I did see, I threw down a Robo. Seems to be a very important tech for Protosses against mech. Makes sense. You want to get out those Immortals, and they're going to be very good against those armored units, of course.
And they also, one of the key units from the Robo versus Cyclones is actually that Prism. The Prism can actually, allow you to dodge the shots. This Marine is going to come all the way up here, and you're going to bait out these units into the Cyclone. The Cyclone does get that initial lock on. Great micro here so far. The Prism is on the way. He doesn't have it yet. Kills the Marine and saves the Adept, only losing 2 health there. Here comes the SCVs. He's going to start bunkering here and pushing with this. But he may even, does he have an eBay? If he turrets with this too, it becomes a lot harder to micro, actually.
No eBay just yet. And you can see he's sending that Adept Scout forward. He misses the SCVs there with the Scout. SCVs, of course, going to be good to repair, but also to make those bunkers you were talking about.
Yeah, he's not bringing any Marines, though.
This is going to be all in here. This is one base. Ooh, he gets the lock on into the Warp Prism, but he gets the high ground.
Okay, there's no overcharge here. The pylon is in place. The Mothership Core is coming down now. He's warping in a few Stalkers here, getting that fast warp in with the Warp Prism, and this is so far held. Here come 2 Widow Mines. He's not making any Marines, so no bunkering, only for repair. Are these SCVs? Good pickups here again on those Stalkers. The pylon still has full health. It only lost shields there, and he's held it off so far. There's an observer almost out on its way here, being chrono boosted. He wants to target down that warp prism. That is the key. And this is starting to get a lot of damage done to these Stalkers. You're exactly right. That Warp Prism is like the one key unit. He gets another Warp in here of 3 extra Stalkers. And how is he going to deal with this? I mean, that Mothership Core is still very far off from 50 energy. He's trying to poke in here. He loses his Pylon, though. And if he loses that Observer, he's never going to be able to kill those Widow Mines. So one scan could ruin his day here. Repairs on the Widow Mines even. He's so diligent about this. Now, there's the kill on the Observer. And this is going to be difficult to deal with, but not impossible. He has to stop those Widow Mines from burrowing closer, though. If he actually gets the burrow off, he's going to be in serious trouble. Blink is on the way, and now we've got 2 more Widow Mines coming up.
Is he actually going to go for it? He's going to split. He's going to split his adepts. There he goes. He loses them all and loses 2 Stalkers as well. This is probably going to be game, I'd say. That's a ton of damage done, although he kills 1 Cyclone. The Mothership Core is locked on. He does not target it, or he does not micro it correctly. And down it goes. The Observer is on the way, and he is going to lose his barracks here shortly. That's actually why he has vision of these units that he can lock onto. Good pickups here again. You need to be so on the ball with that. The amount of damage that comes out with the mag field accelerator, you can see it right there. He needs to pick it up right when it gets locked onto. He's just going to commit. Widow Mines are here. He's just going to commit with the Widow Mines now. There's no way to dodge all of these unless he just simply walks to the back of the mineral line. And now he's in range of the Nexus. Don't forget, this is 1 base, so if he loses Nexus, doesn't mean he necessarily loses the game, but he wants to buy as much time as possible. That Observer's helping out so much. No Scan is going to come out here, sniping Widow Mine after Widow Mine. He's losing strength in this push, even though he killed so many Stalkers earlier. This is starting to lose power. The Warp Prism is targeted, but he does not get the kill. And this is actually about to be the end, I think, of this rush, because Blink is almost done. Look at all those Widow Mines. They all get sniped out with the range on these Stalkers, and that Observer staying alive for so long is so key. He holds, and another Warp and a Stalkers is going to make sure he 100% holds here. There's nothing that INoVation can do. He can't transition. Trust knew that a build like this was likely. Okay, this is a nice snipe, but the Blink is almost done, and that's just basically as good as the Warp Prism here in a fight like this. I think Trust knew this was likely going to be a build that INoVation would do. He chose this map on purpose, and he is defending. Whoa, indeed. A lot of Stalkers went down there. But there was some of these Cyclones are so low. The Blink is done. He could just commit to a fight shortly with another Warp in. He's trying to get another Prism out as well. A few more SCVs coming over for the repair. He blinks forward onto the Cyclones. There was a Widow Mine there as well, but I think this is just too much. He holds it off. I mean, he's lost so many SCVs too. They kind of just have to go back home with their tail between their legs, but they don't, and the chase is still on. He's losing a lot of his Stalkers here, but he has held this push. Gonna snipe another Widow Mine here on the chase as well. Gonna blink forward here. I think he's gonna have to stop chasing now. Will kill a few of those SCVs. I really appreciate how INoVation microed there, basically tried to bait him into the Widow Mine several times. And try to take the fights using the line of sight blockers with the Cyclones, but just not having vision in order to get those lock-ons. I really thought the game was over when he lost those initial 2 Stalkers, but his micro was perfect. He was so careful. He stayed behind the mineral line. The Widow Mines, when those burrowed forward too, I was like, can he really hold this? I mean, he can't even kill these in time, but he just barely had enough. He knew exactly what to do. He's so practiced versus this. Okay, he needs to blink away from these shots. He does. Nicely done. He also forces a couple of lock-ons. And here comes the Observer. He can easily snipe these. He's got 6 gates and so many Stalkers with blink. I think this is just going to be it. Kills the Observer, but this is just too many Stalkers. I think you're right. 4 Cyclones here. SCV's up the line. That Widow Mine does not get burrowed. SCV is being killed. The last of the Cyclones get targeted, and that should be game, ladies and gentlemen. Trust has done it. GG! Trust taking game number 1 over INoVation in a crazy back and forth game. You can see the amount of pressure on this guy as he wins. This has probably been something he's prepared for over a week. Even though they didn't know they would win yesterday, they didn't know which map was going to be first. He was a player preparing for this map, hoping INoVation would come out and do this strategy, and he prepared so well. This is the kind of first player snipe that is so important in this format, and is something that we are not going to see throughout the rest of this series from SKT, because they only brought 4 players, and that could come back to bite them here, as they've lost one of their stars already in game number 1. Oh boy, INoVation, a really cool build there. I love the game that he created. You know, he's trying to innovate here before the Cyclone Chains comes out. He's like, no, I like this unit, I want to make it work. But it's just not working. He comes out over and over. Trust has the answer for him on this map, as you said, very well prepared. And that's just that's the kind of play you need from that 4th place player too in this format for you to go on to the finals and actually compete. If someone like INoVation is going to come out and he's going to prepare a build like that, which, you know, it looked really effective, you know, maybe his one mistake was when the Widowmines all stepped forward and, you know, there was just no support for them. He couldn't get any bunkers there. There weren't enough Cyclones to support, and they just got picked off one by one. But
he didn't even bring Marines at all. You know,
yeah.
I feel like maybe one bunker with a few initial Marines could have been good, but he was too busy making add-ons with that barracks to have Marines. His first Marine went up there, and it did get picked off. Great patience there by Trust. I really got to respect that, especially with that, you know, attempted rush forward with all the Widowmines to get the burrow off. That was incredible. And before that, I really had written him as dead. Losing those first 2 Stalkers there. I mean, this is a push that will snowball with the movement speed of the Cyclone allows you to reinforce so quickly across the map. You don't need to proxy this. They just keep coming. They come so fast, and they hit so hard.
Yeah, so as I was saying, you know, if they can get a win like that out of Trust, he's done his job. You know, he has Stats, TY, and Zest, 3 of the best players in the world behind him, and that's why KT is a top class, you know, tier S, tier 1 team, whatever you want to call them, and which is why they're looking good to move on. I'm not going to count SKT out yet, but that's a fantastic start in day 2. They already had the momentum from winning day number 1, and Trust has already done his job.
Yeah, he really has, man, and other players for this team that we've seen in the past that could come out here maybe that aren't here today. I'm looking at Dream, Sue, Impact. You know, these players that are so good. Zone, we saw already, you know, earlier on. Sorry, his jersey made an appearance yesterday.
I think he was here, too. I didn't even see what jersey he was wearing.
I don't know, but these players, man, they're depth, the fear of them, the potential of them, even if they aren't used, I think is real. I understand SKT's strategy. I think there are strengths and weaknesses to it, though. Those players can sit at home and practice for snipe builds, for the big, you know, long lineup, the entry format, as the Koreans call it, that we're going to have tomorrow if they win today. But the weakness, again, is that KT knows who they're going to pick probably on every single map. In fact, it seems pretty likely that Dark will come out on Overgrowth for map number 2. I think that's pretty likely here, as he's a great Zerg player. He's got good CVP.
I mean, it's not a bad map for Protoss either. Maybe you throw out a Protoss and you got Dust Towers and Gettysburg after. I've seen SKT where they're like, no, we got to save our ace guy for the end, you know. So even though I think sending out Dark here would be totally fine, you know, he would do good on Dust Towers as well. You know, he's a great macro Zerg. He would do great on New Gettysburg. You know, I see where you're coming from. I'm like, what would SKT do? I'm thinking maybe a Protoss here.
I mean, it's definitely possible. We could also potentially see, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards Dark here, but we'll see. I mean, it could be the Protoss, could be Classic. It's only going to be one of those 2 players, right? I mean,
yeah,
we only have 4 players here, so I think it's pretty likely it will be either Dark or Classic.
Do you send out Myungshik here by any chance?
I don't think so.
He's got good PvP. I think he could easily take out Trust, and then you go into Dust Towers for game 2.
I think you save Myungshik for stats.